Cheers, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special video. First of all, hey, I am back from my hiatus. Anyways, I took a time to, gather myself up. I was in a very, I just needed some time off from everything. I needed some time for myself. I was going through some rough stuff. Work was actually demanding. I was in a new work environment, new people, especially with a lot of stuff to do, plus some personal stuff, and I got also sick, so a lot of stuff were happening at the same time, and I kind of needed some time. In this case, I just took like a couple of weeks to take a break. But anyways, for all of that, I actually wanted to make a special video, and something that I really want to say right now: I love video games, and I love video games things related. That's why I'm doing this video right here. I'm doing, as you can see for the video title, I am doing Luigi's Mansion Iceberg theory. That means those are the very famous icebergs. In this case, we're gonna go in this very big iceberg, we're gonna go from level to level, and we're gonna review, and I'm gonna try to explain some of the theories. The theories are actually, I reviewed all of the iceberg, I did my stuff, I did my research, and by the end, it really got fucking weird. To the point where I couldn't find some information. There's some theories I couldn't find, no information at all, by the way. A try as I made, I couldn't find it, but there's, for what little information I found in some of them, I'm gonna try to fill the gaps with my understanding. But anyways, let's get right into the iceberg and let's see what we can find first. Mario is playable. The sky level, the first level, Mario is playable. So basically, something about Luigi's Mansion is like, it has a lot of content. It has people, after all these years since Luigi's Mansion came out, has been delving into the files of the game, and they've been finding very interesting stuff. You're gonna see like a lot of the theories. This iceberg is based on those missing files, cut contents, etc, etc. And it's really fascinating to go and see what could this game be if some of these cuts has been implemented. One of these, in this case, is Mario is playable. In this case, there's a model, a different model, mind you, for Mario, because there's a usual Mario one, the first one, where it's Mario in the portrait. He's trapped, and you, in the end of the game, you save him, etc, etc. They Luigi, Mario hug, etc. That's the main Mario model. But there's another model, which is Mario be Mario, and this model is kind of weird because it's actually, they stretch his legs to be the size of Luigi. And also he has these weird straps, like having something strapped like a backpack to his body, which is reminiscent of Luigi. In that case, it comes hand in hand with another theory that we're gonna see far ahead. Space Worlds 2000 beta. So in this case, Luigi's Mansion was announced in 2000, when they didn't show exactly some gameplay, but they showed rather some trailers, snippets of trailers, things that in the end they weren't even implemented in the main game. But anyways, in that case, Luigi's Mansion was to be released with the GameCube. It was the release game for the console. And in that case, there was, like I said, a lot of stuff that obviously got cut off or changed in the final version of the game. 5 areas. So in this case, usually the main game, Luigi's Mansion, has 4 areas. But in this case, apparently there's an extra 5th area, or more likely just cut out and snippets of unused maps and areas that basically it's considered the 5th area, but actually it's just like I said, a lot of cut content, to which, well, in this case it's very accessible since the last years now that we have all of this technology. 23 portrait ghosts. Okay, so basically the game has around 18 portrait ghosts that are actually, you need to capture them. Whenever you capture a ghost, basically you return them to a portrait. But actually the game has 23 portraits, because 5 of these ghosts are actually well, optional. They're optional bosses, because these ghosts are considered bosses because they're differ from the main normal ghosts that you find. And these ghosts, these 5 ghosts, are actually optional, and once you capture them all, the amount of portraits that you get in the end is 23. Totaka's Song, also known as Kazumi Totaka's Song. Kazumi Totaka is actually a developer that has worked on a lot of Nintendo games, based games, and he has this little quirky thing that he used to put this theme song that he created in each game that he works on. And this is no different. He actually has worked on the Luigi Mansion game, and he has put in the piano room, he has put this tiny little theme song of his that it's just an Easter egg, a very obscure actually Easter egg. Luigi's Hanging Shadow. Okay, this one is actually dark, and I love it, but also give me the spooks. In a particular scene in the game, a lightning bolt appears and flashes the room where Luigi's in. Then obviously it produces a shadow of Luigi, but in this case you can actually see Luigi's feet above the ground. The shadow's feet is above the ground. This actually makes it look like Luigi is actually hanging in the air, and it produces a very morbid illusion, because that what it is. It produces a very morbid illusion of Luigi's hanging, like he hung himself. And actually, I believe honestly that it's just basically it wasn't on purpose, obviously. It's Nintendo we're talking about, but it was more of well, the shadow didn't merge well with the ground. But anyways, yeah. Nintendo 64 build. Okay, now we're getting into the more spicy levels. In this case, Luigi's Mansion was intended for the Nintendo 64, but actually it was developed at the era where Nintendo 64 was actually dying out, and well, Nintendo was coming out for the next console, which in this case was the GameCube. So actually they ditched out the original plans for Nintendo 64 build, which according to what I've read, it wasn't that much. They didn't work that much, but actually they decided to implement the GameCube with its very modern technology at the time to, well, be that brand, the brand new game that comes out with a brand new console. So in this case, this Nintendo 64 build, because like I said, it wasn't really that much developed, it was scrapped away, and they worked it for the GameCube. E-Gadd was the bad guy of the story. So basically, in this case, E-Gadd, we see the ghosts as the enemies of the game, and we capture them to stop breaking havoc and rescue Mario, of course. But in this case, actually, if you think about it, E-Gadd, actually, it's very well stated that he used to capture ghosts, these sentient beings that can think and feel, and they think, therefore they are. And E-Gadd literally stated he was captured them for fun. So basically, this is coming off as something crazy, psychopathical maniac going around capturing, someone capturing people. Except they were in ghosts. So yeah, in this case, when you put it that way, it's actually a very fascinating version A very fascinating theory about actually E-Gadd being just crazy maniac, and it's actually funny because later on in this Iceberg there's another theory that kinda copes well with this one. Stereoscopic 3D mode. Okay, something really interesting that I knew, and this is why I actually love, and I'm gonna do a lot of icebergs from now on. Something that I really love about is the fact that I get to discover new things, and other people too. In this case, stereoscopic 3D mode. Basically, what that means, the GameCube was able to do what the 3DS could. Basically, it had the power and the circuit to go full on 3D. But that at the time being, with the TVs and that time and all of that, obviously it wasn't that capable of doing it because of the deficient technology of that era. But the GameCube was and actually is capable of said power. And many years later, we get to see the fruition of that in the 3DS, which is actually amazing, considering we have a console, a handheld console, being able to produce 3D gaming. The Rideable Portegus 3000. Okay, so actually this is actually true. In the PAL version, aka the European version, of Luigi's Mansion, in the second mode, you get to fight a boss, and in that fight, for some reason, Luigi in the PAL version gets to ride a poltergeist, like a species of car. He just rides the damn thing, using it to suck the ghost around. Is something actually weird because it's not on the normal NA version, and back at the time it was actually a secret. Kinda not known because the internet wasn't that much prolific at the time, and because well, basically it was something very weird. It's something, a little detail that is really curious, if anything else. Inaccessible blackout ghosts. Okay, so basically blackout is an event in Luigi's Mansion where the entire mansion goes dark, and that attracts a lot of ghosts. In this case, there are some ghosts in this event where they're inaccessible. They're in some areas where you cannot get them, so basically these ghosts are unused, and well, basically some enemies not being able to, you're not even able to get to. Matryoshka doll. So again, with some cut out files from the game, people has really delved into the files of the game and found out this little neat model of Luigi Matryoshka. It's actually one of those, you know, dolls that open up and they have a doll inside, and you open them, they have smaller dolls inside. Yeah, this is a version of Luigi. For some reason it's here, it's in the game. Maybe it was a collectible, or maybe it was just a very neat, very cute Easter egg or something to put in the environment in the background. It's something very cute, actually. I really like it. Hey Luigi, what's the holdup? So basically this is supposed to be a line from Mario. You can actually hear if Luigi, I don't remember well, but if Luigi stands in a certain area of the game and you just stay doing nothing, you can actually hear Mario saying, "Hey Luigi, what's the holdup?" Basically Mario begging Luigi, "What the hell, man, help me!" Well, he's trapped in the portrait explorable lab. Okay, so this is actually very fascinating because according to some modders, actually were able to access Dr. E-Gadd's lab. And not only that, it also in the files, cutout files of the game, there's also a little title. Whenever you enter into an area, there's always a title saying kitchen, floor, etc, etc. This is underground lab, and I'm pretty sure that belongs to that area, which obviously was cut out. It's not meant to be explorable, but you know, forcing your way through the game, you can actually explore it, and it's very neat actually. Safari room boss. Okay, so in this case, the Safari room boss, in the Safari room, there was a myth, a legend about an extra secret boss. a hunter boss, ghost boss, that you were supposed to hunt, obviously, to fight. But in this case, the rumor started in a magazine of Nintendo Power, whereas they notched the fact that there was a boss in the room, and that usually, like I said, since there were not many, the internet wasn't really that prolific at the time. It was really wow, is this a hint? And people started making theories, but in the end, it was disproved. And sadly there's no ultra secret Safari room boss. Photographs of the ghosts when they were alive. So in this case, in the rooms where you fight the ghost, when you fight and create the portraits after defeating them, you can actually see in the same rooms photographs of said ghost, only that they're in black and white, and they actually look very human. So in this case, in each area where the ghost dwells, there are photographs of them where they were alive actually. Luigi's Mansion RPG. Okay, so it was rumored, by the way, that in the beginning of the game was supposed to be some sort of RPG. Well, it wasn't like your classical Final Fantasy RPG, but more like it had some RPG elements. Leveling up, the more ghosts you had, the more powerful you got, etc, etc. But it was scrapped in the early version of the game. It really didn't go that much far. The Earth has 2 moons. So try it as I may, I could not find any information about this. Anything I tried to look for was just Luigi's Mansion, the Dark Moon, which I got sick of it, and I tried looking in every single way possible. The mixing of words, I could not find anything, so I'm just gonna move on. The Cave Tunnel. Okay, so accordingly, there's a collision map that hints the fact that in the game there was cut out a little area that was supposed to be a cave tunnel. I'm pretty sure that the cave tunnel was supposed to lead to the underground lab, where the thing that I mentioned before, where you will be able to reach Dr. E-Gadd's laboratory. Map 0, Map O. Okay, in this case, Map 0 was supposed to, well, it's this map, which is we could say it's just a developer's playground, okay? There's a lot of things. There's Luigi's arm hanging in the middle of the air. There's a very distressed Toad. There's fire, coins, a lot of things. Basically, I'm pretty sure this map was just used to try different things. A developer's playground, as they say. Game Boy Horror Clock. In the early versions of the game, at least in the trailers that show in 2000 and 2001, there was this little tiny gadget, that Game Boy Horror Clock. It was a Game Boy shape electronics that will give you the hour, and it will also act as a radar. It will actually give you the positions. They will point out the positions of where the ghosts were, so you could actually hunt them. It was finally cut off from the main game, but you can still find some files of it and some textures of the Game Boy Horror Clock in the main game. Chef Ghost. Again, another theoretical boss that unluckily it does not exist. It was supposed to be a chef ghost, obviously in the kitchen, that was supposed to attack you with tomatoes. Funny enough, there's actually textures of tomatoes. There's actual models and textures of tomatoes in the game, obviously cut off, which leads you to believe that actually they were planning on putting a chef, but in the end, got out, like a lot of this stuff. Multiplayer mode. Okay, so in this case it's actually very interesting because apparently some guys managed to, well, messed with the game's coding, and they actually managed to summon two instances of Luigis, each one being able to move by independently with 2 different GameCube controllers. So something very fascinating about this is the more that Luigi moved, like one Luigi moved to the side, the moment the distance became, there was certain distance between each other, the camera split in half, like classical top screen, bottom screen for multiplayer. Obviously, the second Luigi was invisible in the second screen, but it's something really fascinating. Gives you a lot to think about. Maybe it was meant to be a second player. Maybe it was supposed to be with the Mario model that I mentioned before. Will it have been fun? Yeah, damn yeah. Yeah, I do believe Luigi's Mansion is very fun, and multiplayer, I can only imagine two bros playing Luigi's Mansion together will be really cool. But anyways, like I said, content that got scrapped. Green toads. So again, in a lot of the files in the game, cut content, there's actually the face of a green toad, which does not appear in the game. When a character speaks in the game, there has the little portrait, and alongside there's a couple of portraits cut out. There's Bowser, Mario, amongst others, and in one of those is the green toad. So it was theorized that at some point in the game there were supposed to be green toads in the game, and seeing ghost portraits in the conservatory. So basically, in the conservatory there are some portraits of ghosts, the same type of portraits that you get once you defeat other ghosts, only that these ghosts are, well, they are not in the game. These are ghosts that you do not encounter, just some portraits that you already find in the conservatory, which is kind of weird. Actually, maybe it was supposed to be more bosses, and in the end they just decided to put it there as a nod to the cut content of them, or maybe it was just supposed to be some background things to fill up the area. Luigi is the Archangel Azrael. Oh boy, we're getting very deep into the iceberg now. So basically, Luigi has, there's this theory about Azrael. Well, the Archangel Azrael in the mythology, in the Jewish mythology, he's supposed to be this archangel that guides the souls of the dead into heaven. He takes the souls from the dead and delivers it up above. And it has some similarities to Luigi, actually, because Luigi, obviously, he captures the souls of the dead and he delivers them not to heaven, but at least into portraits. It's actually a very bizarre theory, kind of a bit of a stretch, but I can see where it's coming from. King Boo is Bowser's ghost. So basically, in this case, the theory notes that the fact that King Boo possesses Bowser, obviously, but once you defeat Bowser and you suck King Boo's ghost out, Bowser goes limp. Like, it's not like Bowser was fainted or anything, he just smacks the ground, which actually it's kind of weird considering that he's supposed to be, he should be fine, but that theory leads to believe that actually King Boo is Bowser's ghost, and when Luigi sucks King Boo from Bowser, he's not like he's not exorcising Bowser, but he's actually stealing his soul, which is kind of fucked up if you ask me. elh.szp. What that is? It's a cat enemy, of course, cat, which is this very weird model that actually has even an attack animation. It's all white, it doesn't have any textures, but it's really bizarre in the way it's shaped and the way it moves and attacks. Obviously, it's not in the main game, it's in the files of the game, but not in the main game. But it's a rather fascinating since this model, this creature, ill as people call it, the design differs so much from the other enemies in the game. Why Luigi can't jump? Okay, so basically we all know Luigi, it's one of the Mario Bros, you know, the wahoo guys that attempt to jump. So Luigi not being able to jump in the entire game is kind of weird. Some of the people tend to think that it's because of the vacuum. It just weighs him down so much that he cannot jump, which is, I suppose it's a valid excuse, I suppose. We do not exactly know how heavy that thing is. But yeah, Luigi, the main guy, Luigi, not being able to jump, kind of weird. But at the same time, the game, Luigi's Mansion is not, it's technically not a platformer, okay? It wasn't really made to be a platformer. It's more of a adventure game, so I can see why they didn't feel the need of applying a jump button for it. Zoosite.bti, also known as "and a present from the doctor," or now something from the doctor. This message is actually coded in, and it was supposed to appear in one of the 3 main endings. The endings is actually just the ending cards where you get 3 different grades of how good you did in the game of Luigi's Mansion, depending of the rewards that you get. I mean, the treasure that you recollect along your adventure. So basically, this little text in Japanese, by the way, was supposed to pop up in one of the endings, saying that the doctor will give you something, Dr. Igor, which is kind of weird, actually, if you ask me. The 4th element. So we know that there are 3 elements in the game, and in this game there was supposed to be somehow a 4th element, something that fans actually tend to think that it was exclusively used to defeat the good old L. It was something to do with the cut content, maybe some secret element used for certain puzzles, or just to defeat special enemies. But in the end, we just, like I said, it got dumped. E-Gadd is an illegal arms dealer, so this comes hand in hand with my previous theory about E-Gadd being the main villain. As we know, Bowser's Jr. brush in Mario Sunshine was made by E-Gadd, and now we see E-Gadd making these wacky weapons, this vacuum, giving it to Luigi, and maybe there's this theory where E-Gadd, maybe he sold the special brush to Bowser Jr., and this ties into the theory of E-Gadd being a fucking psychopath who, like I said, he does things for fun, psychopathic things for fun, like, you know, capturing these sentient beings and also selling weapons. So maybe E-Gadd is actually the real final boss from the Mario universe. Okay, we're going deep down, and I'm actually getting scared of all of this. Original M rating. Okay, so basically the game, according to rumors, it was supposed to be way scarier, like an actual horror game featuring Luigi, but of course it actually just got off because Nintendo is really not about the horror, at least not at the time. But actually just got ditched out for a more family friendly, and honestly I really cannot see Luigi in a survivor horror game. Like, this game is literally the epitome of what Luigi could be in according to horror, because literally I cannot see Luigi with a gun being like fucking Chris Redfield punching zombie ghosts in the face. Moving on. Names of the people in the graveyard. So in the game there's a graveyard level, of course, and in the graveyard, in the tombstones, there's supposed to be the names of the people, to which honestly, the more I'm going down to this iceberg, the less information I'm finding. But honestly, what I really can get, according to all of the information I got and the other theories, is that actually all of the ghosts in the mansion were people that lived in the mansion. They actually died, and as they were dying, obviously they were getting buried in the graveyard of the mansion, eventually leading to the point where their ghosts wander across the entire mansion. So basically they're part of the mansion themselves. And obviously that ties in to the fact that these tombstones names are actually the names of each of the ghosts that you capture in the mansion. Luigi's food fetish. You know what? Against my better judgment, I actually looked for it. And lucky me, I didn't find anything, so I didn't find anything. I do not want to know what that means. I do not want to know why, how, or what. I'm just gonna move along. Mansion is sapient. Basically, the mansion is actually alive, and it's a living thing. To which honestly I can see why. According to the game itself, the mansion appeared from one day to the other, just boom, there it is. And according to this theory, the mansion is actually sapient, it's alive, with the spirits of the dead inside, and it actually moves from place to place. You can also see sometimes the lights will go off in some rooms, according to what they say, and basically, allegedly, that means that the mansion is actually trying its best to make things harder for poor old Luigi. Anti-abortion agenda, because of course we're in that level of the iceberg. So basically, according to this, one of the ghosts is a babu. It's a baby, a little baby. Oh, so according to the theory, this baby got ejected a little bit too early. Obviously, that ended up as him being a ghost baby, and basically that's the thing. That's a message that the game, in this theory, allegedly the game is trying to put out. Don't do that. It's an anti thing, which is actually very fucking weird. My god. Toad's electro-emotional aura. What the fuck? Basically, whenever a toad is in distress, the lights around the room, they just go off, completely off. Once the toad has calmed down, the lights go back up, which means basically the toads have this electromagnetic aura that whenever they're in distress, they start messing with electronic things and lights go on and off, which is bizarre, but it actually kind of makes sense. Makes you think. Food for thought. Bogmire True Identity. Bogmire is actually one of my favorite ghosts because of how mysterious it is. Because we can know Bogmire is the less like human ghost we can see. Because actually, according to the lore, Bogmire is actually not like a ghost, not a ghost from the spirit of a human, but it's actually an artificial ghost made up to be a boss and to, you know, try to defend some stuff by King Boo. And something very, very fascinating is the fact that whenever you defeat a ghost, depending on how you did, you get a different portrait of the ghost itself with a little frame. On the best rank for Bogmire, you actually get a shadow of the Bogmire instead of Bogmire itself, which actually like gives you a little nod of like actually the thing that you capture in that thing, that frame is actually a Bogmire shadow, and the actual Bogmire is around, still alive. Alive, actually, ghosts alive, whatever. But in that case, Bogmire also has, it's around somewhere, Bogmire, and it's such a mystery because we don't know much about him, and I'm really interested in him. He's like my favorite villain, ghost boss in the game, and also has the fact that he resembles like an item in the Legend of Zelda, so well, that's something we usually see in the Nintendo games. I'm pretty sure Mario is in A Link to the Past. Story is an allegory of Dante's Inferno. E3 2001 disappearances. Oh boy, we're getting to that area. E3 2000 disappearances, basically in E3 2001, when actually beta of Luigi's Mansion was available to play, people started disappearing about that area. Honestly, that's all I could get. Accordingly, it's allegedly, it's most likely false about the theory, but it actually goes hand in hand with yet another theory of this level of the Iceberg, which is the Deep Dark, and we are getting to the very fucking spooky things now. Retroactive existence. Don't know what the fuck that meant. I couldn't find anything either. Scratch. Moving on. Pataphysical manifestations. Basically, how to explain? I went to a rabbit hole in this thing. Pataphysical manifestations. Pataphysics are basically the anti-science. Basically, it's imagination. It's the imaginative way to resolve science. Pataphysical manifestations. Only thing it means in the game. To which, if you ask me, yeah, it's very fucking pataphysical, considering it's Italian guy capturing ghosts with a vacuum. It's really, really weird and hard to comprehend. I do not recommend you to do not follow in my steps. Do not go into the rabbit hole of pataphysics. Also, I'm probably blurring the false information. I'm just missing the target and this theory, but I couldn't find anything, not at all. But moving on. 19 March of 2001, build destroyed due to high casualties, and this goes hand in hand with the E3 2001 disappearances. Accordingly, anyone, well, not anyone, but a lot of people who got to play that version of the game, they killed over and died. They just died. And for some reason, that version of the game got destroyed, completely destroyed, wiped out, and renewed again, in order to stop this kind of weird curse in Luigi's Mansion. And finally, the last theory: ghosts are players' loved ones. Basically, the ghosts in the game, each, according to what I saw and I researched, each ghost in each people's playthroughs of Luigi's Mansion is basically a manifestation of your loved ones, the ones that had passed away. Basically, it's like this game was made to some sort of play and come to terms with this of some loved ones, which is very confusing, very weird, and it bothers me the more that I think about it, because I don't think my granny will appreciate me sucking her into a vacuum and putting her on some modern piece of art. But hey, that was it. That's all of that's the Luigi's Mansion's Iceberg, made by the very lovely Agrobot. By the way, I'm leaving the description link in my. I'm leaving the Reddit link, the link from where this Iceberg came from, in the description. You can see it right there. You can drop a like. I do like this Iceberg. I really like it. I think Agrobot did a very good job. In the very unlikely scenario where Agrobot is watching this, thank you so much. You actually, thanks to you, I learned a lot, and I realized that this game is actually amazing. And it's a shame that I actually missed it. The only reason I did it is because I've never actually played Luigi's Mansion. I do know about it. I do know it's actually a fun little game. But entering into that game itself, seeing how much nook and crannies, how the passion of the fans of this game, how they keep researching into stuff, it actually moves my gamer heart. It touches my gamer heart in the right way. So thank you, Agrobot, for making this Iceberg. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for watching, and this is a sort of a special episode to celebrate the fact that I'm back doing YouTube, but also the fact that I'm gonna be doing more of this. Like I said, I love video games, I love anything gaming related, and I love mysteries. As much of a pussy I am, I do love a good mystery, so expect me to go into more icebergs. And hey, probably I'll get a soup or two. But anyways, I'll see you all on the very next episode. Bye bye, much love.